The Third Temple miracle and the rise of Mujtaba Khamenei have converged. As the sky over Tehran turns to fire, 2,000 years of silence broken, the Pentagon confirmed it was no accident. It's finally happening. After 2,000 years, the script has activated. Chapter 1. Excursion or activation? Is this the 0 hour for the Messiah, the Mahdi, the hidden Imam, or the Dajjal, the Antichrist? Or is it, as the American president claims, a short-term excursion that is already weeks ahead of schedule? The markets are betting on a quick exit, but the ancient script is betting on the end. This is a Markerverse exclusive. Stay with us. Within the first hour of the flames, the vacuum of power was filled. Ayatollah Mujtaba Khamenei has been officially elevated as the third Supreme Leader, inheriting a ghost's crown as the world enters its decisive phase. But the fire isn't just tactical, it's prophetic. In Washington and Jerusalem, the language has shifted from policy to miracle. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth has stood on holy ground and declared, "There is no reason the Third Temple miracle can't happen now, too."
What is that? That's the Secretary of War right now.
Watch Tucker Carlson realize why the Zionist lobby, led by Norm Coleman of the Republican Jewish Coalition, pressured Trump to install Pete Hegseth as U.S. Secretary of War.
What is going on here? It's enough to make the hair on your arms go up. Did everyone know there was an effort to rebuild the Third Temple and the foundation stone except me? This is considered so esoteric and weird and crypto-historical and religious and kind of culty and what's Chabad and that no one ever mentions it. But here's Pete Hegseth, football player from Princeton, going on about it in a way that suggests he's thought a lot about it. This is 2018.
And it got me thinking about another miracle that I hope all of you don't see too far away. Because 1917 was a miracle, 1948 was a miracle, 1967 was a miracle, 2017, the declaration of Jerusalem as the capital was a miracle, and there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible.
What is that? That's the Secretary of War right now, overseeing the war with Iran that people fighting it are starting to say actually is about rebuilding this Third Temple. It's the same man.
Jerusalem and Tehran are screaming at once. A toxic black rain is falling over the Persian cradle, coating the streets in a film that literally burns the skin. Residents call it the breath of the end, as the sun simply vanishes. Military satellites are tracking the fire from orbit, yet ancient scrolls foretold this exact hour. Prophecy is surging. In a world on its knees, many who watch these signs believe the hour is almost here. Will the Mahdi rise before the Christ, or will the Messiah return? Or will we see Dajjal, the Antichrist, first? One God, claimed by three faiths. Yet today, his name is arming the missiles and bombs that bury the innocent. Here are some facts no side can ignore. Chapter 2. The Minab Massacre. The divine often bleeds in the details of the disastrous. Day 1. A U.S. precision military strike flattens the Shajara Tayyebe Girls' Primary School in Minab. 168 children, gone in the blink of a targeting error. 168 daughters, some as young as 7, gone in a heartbeat. While the Pentagon investigates, a political firestorm in Washington is demanding an impartial probe into the ruins of Minab. As the official investigation into this catastrophic targeting error continues, a darker reality emerges. In the ruins of Minab, the line between military calculus and divine script has finally, officially, wiped out. But the massacre was only the trigger. In 3 minutes, I will show you the bloodline alliance that was strategically waiting for this exact moment. This is no longer just scripture. It is a 2,000-year-old engine powering our world of silicon and stars. We possess the reach of AI, the precision of space travel, and the progress of modern science. Yet the hand on the throttle is guided by an ancient clock and obsessed characters. We are witnessing a fight not for resources, but for the right to be right. The oldest road is the one the power brokers are following. As for the times, they are a-changing. Chapter 3. The Anointed and the Rebels. The crack in the armor is not found in the steel, but in the soul. 250 soldiers have broken silence to report a terrifying shift in the chain of command. They allege their commanders are framing this assault not as a policy, but as a biblical mandate. Congressional leaders have moved to demand an emergency investigation. Their warning is clear. The sword of the state must be guided by facts and the law, not end-times prophecy. While the world watches in horror, the president has rated the progress a 15 out of 10. The demand from Washington is now total, unconditional surrender. While the president called this an excursion to calm the markets, he warned of death, fire, and fury if the oil stops. He had won in many ways, but in his own words, he hasn't won enough. For American Muslim and Jewish soldiers, this is a crisis of conscience. They describe these briefings as God's kill orders, a direct violation of their military oath and their constitutional right. Trump Jesus Anointed burns Iran, the troops whisper in the dark. But while the American machine fractures from within, the Persian throne is being rebuilt in the shadows. Chapter 4. The Ghost King. The throne of Tehran is no longer a vacuum. Following the 10-day silence, the Assembly of Experts officially elevated the sun, cementing Mujtaba Khamenei as the third Supreme Leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
The newly ascended Supreme Leader, Sayyid Mujtaba Khamenei, is a man who has already paid the ultimate price. In a single night of fire, the unseen hand of the state was severed, leaving a leader who has lost everything but his purpose. Fact, the U.S.-Israeli strikes on the Tehran compound didn't just target the Supreme Leader, they claimed his entire family. Mujtaba stands today as a leader who has buried his father, Ali, his mother, Mansoureh, his wife, Zahra Haddad Adel, and even his own son, Mohammed Bagher. Shattering nearly half a century of revolutionary tradition, the son was left with no choice but to inherit a ghost's crown. While more qualified scholars could have been chosen, the weight of the death warrant issued by the IDF forced Mujtaba to accept the burden. For a man who has lost his entire world to the fire, the fear of death has been replaced by a singular, sacred purpose, vendetta or martyrdom. The first missiles of his reign have already been sighted, labeled with a singular oath, "At your command, Sayyid Mujtaba." But as the new Supreme Leader retreats into the bunkers of calm, a different Israeli-backed ghost has emerged from the west. Chapter 5. The new Cyrus and the Sufyani. The son of the Shah, Reza Pahlavi, has emerged from 47 years of silence. In Tel Aviv, the classified label has already leaked. They are calling him the new Cyrus. Standing at Jerusalem's Western Wall, he has officially proposed a new era, the Cyrus Accords.
The Cyrus Accords.
It is a vision where the 2,000-year-old engine finally shifts gears, anchored by the bloodline alliance. The marriage of Princess Iman Pahlavi to American Jewish financier Bradley Sherman is the physical merger of the Persian throne and Western finance. Under this blueprint, the very identity of Iran is being redrawn in real time. This is no longer a localized transition, it is an architectural overhaul. Donald Trump has officially moved from observer to lead architect, publicly demanding the final veto on who occupies the throne in Tehran. By dismissing Mujtaba Khamenei as a lightweight, the U.S. president has signaled that the next ruler of Iran must serve as the new Cyrus, a restoration of glory that global markets are already pricing into the next decade of power. This is no mere sentiment, it is the ultimate hedge against regional collapse. But for the watchers in the East, this is the shadow of a far older warning. They see the Sufyani, the deceptive Antichrist archetype foretold in the sands of Damascus. The dots are connecting, the patterns are surfacing. Is this a return to glory, or the final piece of the trap? Chapter 6. Scientific Eschatology. The sacred map and meticulous math converge. Prophecy is not a metaphor, it is a map. Sahih Muslim, Hadith 2944, warns of 70,000 from Isfahan, clad in the Tayalisa, who will follow the final deception. Today, this is a real tactical objective. U.S. Central Command has already identified Isfahan as the brain, the last asymmetric shield. By dismantling the IRGC and vaporizing the city's missile infrastructure, Trump and Netanyahu are surgically trying to remove the cork. They are creating the very power vacuum required for the 70,000 sleepers to emerge, as prophesied. In Islamic eschatology, this is the mandatory precursor to the arrival of the Dajjal, the false Messiah. To the evangelical base, Trump is the anointed lighting the signal fire for Armageddon. To the Zionist right, Netanyahu is clearing the path for the Third Temple. But the irony is staggering. By following the Book of Revelation, are they perversely forcing the fulfillment of Sahih Muslim 2944? They appear to be effectively acting as the engineers for the Dajjal's entry force. To the believing watchers, it is the ultimate paradox that even the darker designs of man can end up serving a higher architecture. God can indeed get the devil to do his work. The Math of Fire, Part 1 Finale. To understand the map, you must first look at the math. We are witnessing a systemic liquidation designed to bankrupt the old world to pay for the birth of a new digital order. Operation Epic Fury scorched $5.8 billion in its first 100 hours alone, a staggering withdrawal from a sovereign vault that is already empty, as American debt hits the $38 trillion wall. In this theater of fire, $1.1 billion in strategic radar can be vaporized in a single pulse, turning the Strait of Hormuz, the jugular of the global economy, into a naval graveyard. With 16 mine-laying craft destroyed and Iranian retaliation confirmed, the throat of the world remains closed. Professor Zhang Suechin warns of the airstrike fallacy, the belief that air decapitation would collapse 93 million souls. Instead, the 12-day war has only unified a nation while scorching the Western spy networks meant to dismantle them. To deploy the 82nd Airborne in this terrain could be viewed as pure suicide. They aren't soldiers, they are hostages of unsustainable supply lines. Is the system breaking by accident or being broken by design? As we endeavor for the truth, do we realize the fire in the Strait and the blood in the Zagros could be merely the clearing of a 3,000-year-old ledger 2.0? But while the world watches the fire on the ground, why are the power brokers suddenly so obsessed with the sky? In Part 2, we reveal the ghost in the machine, the architectural shift toward a third temple miracle, and the global fiscal reset required to fund it, as some claim. Watchers believe that the pattern is not just surfacing, but that the 0 hour is here. If you can see the design, you are no longer a victim of the script. You are ahead. Subscribe and hit the bell. I am finalizing the 0 hour files, and in this shift, being even a week late is the same as being wrong. I will see you in the aftermath. This is Macaverse.